Hello, fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight. I'm John Nolan, the PBR Virginia DC content manager and the Northern Virginia scouting director. With me, as always, coming to you from the Richmond area because he's not actually in Richmond, is Jason Burton, the PBR Virginia DC scouting director. Jason, how many hours did you spend in the car this week?
Oh, it was a couple. I think a 26, 28, somewhere in there.
That's a whole day. That's not too bad. That's what I get. I guess what you get for driving all over the state, right?
Yep, that was a good time.
Sounds like it. All right, fans. Today we are going to continue like we started last week to try and settle into what's going to be our normal high school season rhythm for you. And normally we would lead off here with a Power 25 update, but we are not doing one here in the first week. Many schools did not play multiple games this week. Some of them didn't get started with the weather on Monday and Tuesday until Thursday or Friday. A lot of schools have only played one game. So we want to leave our preseason Power 25 for another week and give the high school season a chance to breathe. So, starting next week, we'll have a Power 25 update at the top of this podcast and every Monday for you on the website, but we will not have one this week or today. Now, that being said, we do have a team of the week and a player of the week to announce before we get into our Scout Blog Standouts. And now we'll move on to our player of the week. Now, remember, player of the week is someone who had a standout week in a game that we happened to be at. And I'm going to hat tip real quickly the guy that I had nominated for this, Brandon Shellhorse from Woodson, who was 3 for 4 with a 3-run homer and 2 doubles on Wednesday night in their opener. But we're going to go with our actual player of the week, which is Colin LaBelle, a 2025 right-handed pitcher from Cape Henry Collegiate. He's a George Washington commit. Jason Burton had a chance to chat with him after the game this weekend.
We are happy and excited to be joined by Cape Henry sophomore Colin LaBelle. Colin, how are you feeling this morning?
Feeling great. How you doing?
Doing good. No soreness. Y'all played yesterday versus St. Chris, so I'm sure you got some band work in, some arm care, some stuff like
Yeah,
that.
definitely. I just took a rest since I threw a lot on Friday. I
It was
took the day.
a good game yesterday too, right? 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 victory. Yeah.
That's good. Um, so we have Colin on today because Colin is actually our very first PBR Virginia DC Player of the Week in 2023. This is actually the first year that we've ever done a Player of the Week. This year we'll try to do a Player of the Week every single week. This has to be players that we have seen when we are out on the road. I think we were at around a dozen games this past week, maybe a little bit more. So Colin is the recipient of the first week. The George Washington commit, Colin's a GW commit. He threw 7 innings, allowed 2 hits, struck out 10, no walks, only 70 total pitches, 54 strikes. Colin, how were the nerves before the game with it being your first varsity start?
I wasn't really nervous. I just kept relaxed. Just went through the same routine as I do in every single game and just try to stay relaxed and don't worry about if he's gonna hit the ball. Just throw strikes and be confident.
So when do you think do you feel like you really settled in and locked in? Like I'm sure you were focused before the game, but you can say that there were no nerves, but I'm sure a first varsity start versus a good team like Grassfield. When do you feel like was there a certain point in time you feel like you really settled in?
I felt like through trusting my teammates and my coaching staff, I felt confident once we put up those 4 runs in the bottom of the first inning. I felt as if our momentum just kind of increased a lot, and it gave me a lot of confidence and ability to just have have a good game. And like I just trusted my teammates with the
For
offensive part while I focused on the defensive part.
Yeah,
Pitching.
for sure. I mean that 4 runs was huge in the first. The Cape Henry offense didn't score after that, but obviously didn't need to. Um, I think that being able to have a shutdown inning after that 4-run inning was huge. And just kind of takes those nerves away and just kind of went on cruise control. Um, so you gave up only 2 hits. You had another runner or two reach via error. what was working so well to keep the grass field hitters, off balance and off the base?
I mean, I was throwing a lot of breaking balls. My slider was working really well that day, and that two seam was working very well for the Coastal Carolina guy. And I just felt like not throwing the exact same pitch every single time they go up to the plate, but mixing it up to make them off balance and force them to just swing, even though it's not a strike always.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember your final time facing bunch in that last at bat. I think the first I couldn't remember if you went 1-0 or if it was the
Well,
first
2-0.
pitch. You went 2-0. And
2-0.
then the next pitch was that two seamer that just ran up under his
Yeah.
hands.
I threw three in
Um,
inning.
you threw three in a row. That first one just really took off under his hands. It was a really nice pitch. And there's some solid hitters in that lineup, and I mean, you pretty much threw that slider at will that day.
Yeah.
Whenever you wanted, whatever count. Um, anything else to add? Like where do you see the rest of the year going?
I feel like we haven't even pitched all of our pitchers through our first two games. We've only had four guys. Garrison's only thrown 8 pitches. Then we still have plenty of other pitchers to go, and our offense is just gonna go up from there. And I feel like we have a really good start to this season, and I feel like we can only go up from now.
That's good. Well, Colin, thank you for joining us. I know you're excited to be off to such a good start personally and team wise with Cape Henry. So just congratulations and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
And now let's go ahead and move on here to our Scout Blog Standouts. So we're going to highlight a couple of players that we got a chance to see here in the last week. Some of these players have already been featured in Scout Blogs that ran earlier in the week on the website. Some of them will be featured in Scout Blogs that will run in the early part of the week. Next week coming up here, it just depends on when we got a chance to see them. If it's Thursday or Friday, those stories usually run Monday or Tuesday. If it's earlier in the week, they run in the week that we saw them. And I'm going to go ahead and go first. I think we each have four players this week, which will be about the number. 3 to 5 is the goal here. I'm going to go ahead and go first, and I'm going to talk about someone who I saw on Thursday night, and that is Marcus LeClaire, a 2023 from Gonzaga. He is a Virginia Tech commit. I got a chance to see him against McLean on Thursday night in McLean's opener, and what was hell of a game, back and forth, 8-7 walk-off win for McLean between our number 17 and number 3 team. Real good, fun game to watch. LeClaire, I thought he had a really good game. He had a home run in his first at bat. Got a middle pitch that was a little bit up on the first pitch that he saw all game, and he did not miss that pitch. Let's just leave it at that. He launched that thing into. I'm pretty sure it still hasn't completely landed. His second at bat, he came up with runners in scoring position. And instead of waiting for something that he could absolutely hammer out of the park and being overly patient, he attacked the first hittable pitch he could get and drilled a single up the middle. And he drew a walk in his third at bat. He ended up out of the game after that point in time. He'd been pinch run for a few times. He was playing the outfield, which is a change for him. We nominally have him down as a first baseman on his profile, but they had him out in left field during the game. LeClaire, he's got a ton of power. We've talked about him, we've seen him, we've shown him before here in the last couple of months. He's one of the top prospects in the 2023 class, and that was on display. Just showing some barrel feel, a good approach at the plate. And then, like I said, obviously that home run power is present. He is a switch hitter. He only hit from the left side in that game, was only facing right-handed pitchers. So didn't get a chance to see him from the right side, but the left side is always his best side, and he looked really, really good. So again, Marcus LeClaire, a 2023 first baseman, I guess learning outfield now from Gonzaga. He is a Virginia Tech commit. He had a pretty good day for me on Thursday night. Bert, where you want to go here first?
First person I'm going to go with is 2024 top ranked in Virginia, D.C. In that class, Dalton Wentz. I got a chance to see Dalton on Wednesday. It was supposed to be Tuesday. They moved it to Wednesday because of the weather, like many people. Um, the first thing that you think about Dalton is just kind of the maturity. If you watch him handle himself on the field, just kind of how he moves and how he handles himself. Um, honestly, like there's some solid upperclassmen and some solid pieces in that Amherst lineup. Obviously, he is kind of the centerpiece, and it's no secret. I think he's the kind of one of the driving forces of that team. And when you think about if you're an opposing team and you think about who's not gonna or who you're not gonna let beat you, obviously it's Dalton. Um, so one thing that kind of watching and seeing is his approach, and I think that was one of the big differences from last year to this year. Last year caught him early in game versus JF. He seemed to be, maybe trying to do a little bit too much. Was very aggressive at the plate, and then the other night, I think he got 2 pitches to hit in what was, don't quote me, I want to say 3 or 4 at bats, at least 3. And I think it was the first pitch that he saw in an at bat, he fouled off. And then the only other pitch he got, for a strike that was really in the zone, was a ball that he hit into right center. He unloaded on a double. So it was good to see his patience at the plate. In addition to that, um, he got a chance. He came in and closed it out in the 7th versus Appomattox. He was 89 to 91, mostly 90-91, a lot of strikes. He only threw 1 breaking ball. He was pretty dominant. Struck out 3, gave up a 2-out single up the middle. Nothing crazy. But yeah, he definitely looked the part.
Yeah, Wentz definitely one of our top prospects and definitely sticking with that. All right, I'm going to go back to my Wednesday night trip where I went out to Woodson at Robinson for their opener, and I had a bat that jumped out to me, and that is Andrew Perks. He's a 2024 outfielder, played center field for Woodson. He had a great day offensively. We've had him at Maryland events. We haven't had him at Virginia events. He's an MVP baseball player, 6'2", 180. It's a lankier frame. There's a lot of projection left. I thought he moved pretty well in the outfield. We had him at a 6'8", on his 60 in October. He actually moves at least that fast, if not a little bit faster. He got a couple of quick breaks on balls out in the outfield, and where he really stood out was at the plate offensively. He had a great night. 3 for 4, 2 doubles. He was in his 1 out. He was a loud line out to right field, basically just smoked the ball right at the right fielder. He was on the barrel all game long. Couple doubles off of the left field fence. Used the whole field. It's a short swing. He's very quick. He's got gap power present to all fields. Showed some barrel feel. Was facing some decent pitching all game long from Robinson, and did a good job of being on the barrel the whole time. He's definitely a guy that coaches in the who are looking for juniors, 2024s in the outfield should be on top of right now. He can play center field, definitely left field as well. He moves well out there, and that bat will absolutely play no matter what level he's at when it comes to college. And the power is present. There's a chance for a little bit more to come as he continues to fill out and gain strength. I was really impressed with him. He was probably the best guy that I saw on Wednesday night when I was out at that game. And again, that's Andrew Perks, a 2024 outfielder from Woodson High School. Bert, you're number 2.
My number 2, Thursday night, I was in Lynchburg and got a chance to see LCA versus Fluvanna, and the LCA starter Ben Blair, also a former Future Games guy, was actually on the same team as Dalton. Um, Ben, love watching Ben pitch. Low 3/4 slot, long, thin, wiry frame. I think he is going to do big things at Liberty. I know Coach Williams at Liberty, the pitching coach, does an outstanding job with their arms, and I think he's got lot to work with here with Ben. Ben was up to 93 in the first, a few 92s, 89-91 in the second. He threw mixed a few 92s in, kind of as he went. I think he was 5 innings. Um, I know he had 3 Ks through 2 innings. I think he was 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, only gave up 2 hits. He was pretty efficient around the zone. I didn't think he had a great feel for spin, especially earlier in the game, but it makes sense. It's early in the season, colder night. It did get better as the game went on, but again, I think this is an arm that has a bright future. Sorry. I think this is an arm that has a bright future, and just love the way the arm works and love the way he competes. Again, Liberty commit Ben Blair up to 93, LCA starter from Thursday night.
I'm going to go ahead and go with my third guy. I'm going to go back to that Thursday night game that I was at, McLean and Gonzaga, and I'm actually going to talk about an uncommitted 2025 right-handed pitcher, Christian Dre. We've seen Christian before, but it's been a minute since we saw him. I really, really like the frame. It's a lankier, tall frame. There's a lot of projection left. He throws from a lower three quarters arm slot. It's an incredibly easy arm action. It's very loose. It's quick. There's not a lot of effort. The ball jumps out of his hand. It was 81, 82, touch 83. But if you told me 6 months from now he's throwing a lot harder than that, I would believe it. There's a crap ton of late life on his fastball. I wish we'd had the TrackMan on it where I could see what the horizontal movement was, because it had to be at least 13, 14, 15 plus inches consistently. And I also wish I had the spin gun that Jason has that I keep trying to steal every time we have an event, because his slider, his breaking ball that came in 69 to 70 miles an hour, was absolutely wipe out. Showed some great break to it. Really flashed plus when he threw it down and away for strikeouts. So a lot to like in this 2025 arm. I'd be curious to see what he looks like later in the season on a warmer night. He was throwing in relief, so he didn't get like a full starter's warm up, and I'm curious to see how that would affect him as well. And again, that's 2025 right-handed pitcher Christian Dre from McLean High School. Bert, you're number three.
Third arm is actually our player of the week. On Friday, got a chance to go to Cape Henry and see Cape Henry take on Grassfield, what was a top 15 matchup. Um, LaBelle was outstanding, and I know that the interview and some of that stuff covers some of that. But again, 7 innings pitched, 10 punch outs, 70 total pitches, 54 strikes. Just a foolish outing from him. Um, Threw the slider at will, 74 to 76, held velo. There's a fair bit of intent in the delivery, so I was really interested to see as he progressed in the game, was he able to hold the velo? And he did. He was still 84, 85 in the seventh inning. Um, he got into maybe one or two tough spots. Not, and I don't really want to say it was others, but he had a few physical and mental mistakes behind him. Just in about really just one mid inning. I think it was the fifth, maybe, and he worked out of it. Otherwise, I mean, it was smooth sailing, quick work. I want to say 7 inning game was like an hour and 35 minutes. Like, sign me up for that all day, every day.
An hour and 35 minutes for a game. Yeah, sign me up for that. The game that I was at on Friday night, we took an hour to play 2 innings. And that was West Springfield, Lake Braddock, the rivalry that always is those two teams playing each other. It's been going on for 30 plus years, and it does not change no matter who's the coach, no matter who the players are involved. It's a war between those two teams. They even to the point where they were competing to get foul balls off of the screen between the two dugouts. Was kind of funny, to be honest with you. But the player that I want to talk about from that game was the guy who I really, really went to see. I'm going to hat tip Jamie Leskovsky real quickly. The 2024 from Lake Braddock. He was really good in the game, was on the barrel 4 different times. But the guy I want to talk about is an uncommitted 2025, Caleb Williams from West Springfield. They had him playing third base in the game. He could be playing shortstop. They talked to me pregame, the coaching staff, and they said they have three guys who they like in the middle infield, and they just have them split between second, third, and short. And right now, Caleb's third. I think athletically, frame wise, he is a shortstop. The arm strength is there. He's really good. Got a quick first step defensively. I've seen him a couple times now in game offensively, and Friday night was no different. It's a very short swing. He does a great job of keeping his hands inside, gets bat to ball. Slightly uphill, the ball jumps off of his swing. There's some violence. He's got a good setup. He's got nice wide base to it. He ripped a single down the left field line in one of his at bats, drew a walk in another one. And then in his last at bat in the top of the seventh inning, he absolutely smashed a ball to left center that on a night when it's not 50 degrees with the wind blowing in and heavy humid air, probably goes out of the park pretty easily, but it got caught on the warning track. Great catch by Daniel Lepovsky. from Lake Braddock. But definitely like the bat for Williams. Think he is a player that coaches need to be on if they aren't already in that 2025 class. And he's a guy who's probably not staying uncommitted super much longer because there's a lot to like about him. That frame has a ton of projection left. The power starting to manifest. He was definitely the best hitter on West Springfield, and it's an argument between or toss up between him and Laskowski as to who was the best hitter on the field that night between the two teams. And so again, that's 2025. Caleb Williams from West Springfield High School, guy to watch if you haven't gotten a chance to get out and see him yet. Bert, your final guy.
Last guy going to Tennessee commit Rocky Top. Congratulations to Tennessee for knocking off Duke. Good job. Um,
Yes, please. Always knock off Duke. Whoever knocks off Duke gets hat tips from this podcast.
yeah, Duke loses, America wins. Anyway, um, Tennessee commit Evan Hankins, um, 2025, number 2 in the class right now. Physical, left-handed pitcher, first baseman. He got the start yesterday, Saturday against Liberty Christian. Was solid. He started to tire a little bit in I think it was the 4th inning. He started to tire just a little bit, which is makes sense early in the year. But he was really strong through the first 3. He had 4 strikeouts through 2 innings pitched. He was 85, 87, touched 88 multiple times. Um, showed a changeup that he could throw for strikes. Slider, he showed 4 pitches: fastball, slider, changeup, curveball. I thought in that order in terms of confidence and ability and shape. Breaking ball was more so just kind of the curveball was more so get me over. Slider flashed some tight late depth. Um, I thought it was a solid performance. A young arm, he's physical. The velo keeps ticking up. I want to say when I saw him last year, he was like 3 to 5, 4 to 6 ish. He came in relief against Abingdon, but just a really solid arm. Some physical tendencies at the plate. Didn't have a ton of success at the plate on Saturday, but showed, in a few swings that he got off, showed some of the physical tools and some of the power, projection, and raw power in the swing. But again, solid day on the mound for Hankins, the 2025 Tennessee commit.
All right. And that's going to just about wrap it up for us. Let's go ahead and talk about things that are coming up here in the coming week. Obviously, in the last week, we've been running our preseason all PBR Virginia DC teams. Make sure you check those out on the website. I'm going to get out at least 3 times. I know for sure that I'm going to Marshall at Herndon on Tuesday, Woodgrove at Tuscarora on Friday, and Gonzaga Colgan on Saturday. Possible that I'm looking at a couple of games on Monday and Wednesday. It'll just depend on weather and pitching matchups. Bert, where are you going this week? 17 games at least, right?
We shall see. Only time will tell.
Yes. So make sure you follow us on all of our socials. Jason is at K's All Day 19. I'm at PBRVADC_Nolan. We'll have our interns and our staff out as well. They're the Mid Atlantic Ground Forces at PBRMAGF. So make sure you follow all of those and follow us on Instagram too for any updates and stuff that we put out here in the coming weeks. And we'll continue our coverage of the high school season here as we move on into week 2 of the 2023 season. And coming up here in a couple of weeks, and we'll start to talk about it here in the next couple of episodes here, is the Commonwealth Classic, now less than 2 weeks away, or 3 weeks away, sorry. So plenty to cover here in the next couple of weeks. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you out there.